If you're still thinking the Kansas City Chiefs are rebuilding, you're already behind. This is not a team that's searching for an identity. This is a team that is trying to sustain its dominance in the AFC. And today I'm breaking down all the Kansas City Chiefs draft picks with this new and final mock draft. From every pick, every alternate pick, both offense and defense, and just an explanation on how this move can help this roster stay elite. And if you want a full written breakdown, I have my article below that details and goes into further explanation on why each move was made. When you're looking at the philosophy of the Kansas City Chiefs draft, you just have to understand what Brett Veach and Amy Reed are thinking. They have been a part of this organization since the beginning during the Reed time. And as an organization, they've done an excellent job of not guessing, but pinpointing the exact needs that they have and are trying to address. They've built a system that's been rooted in preparation, development, and just making sure the role that a player has is clear and sustained. They trust their evaluations. They trust their scouting department. They are able to develop their players with their amazing coaching staff and put them in constant positions to have success. And so this draft is going to be the same. They are going to have to maintain the structure of the team, reinforce some depth because there's quite a few pieces that they need to replace, and avoid making any major mistakes that can help set this organization back. Using this mock draft, this is a no trades, no forcing picks, just kind of letting the board fall. With the first round pick in pick 9, the Kansas City Chiefs should select Rueben Bain Jr., my edge rusher from Miami. And he is the cleanest, most stabilizing pick on this board. Rueben Bain gives exactly what the defense needs. They get a defender who can play the run, who can control someone at the point of attack, and get constant pressure at the edge position. He's not a flashy pass rusher. There's a couple guys that are going to be drafted ahead of him that fall into that role, but he is a complete defensive end who plays in a structure. He has shown his ability against bigger opponents to set the set a firm edge, to play with leverage and win with controlled power. He doesn't chase sacks, but he constantly is getting pressure on the quarterback, especially at his time in Miami. And that's just how you stabilize the defensive front. You have Chris Jones in the middle. You have an edge rusher in Rueben Bain who's going to provide either timely pressures and hopefully some sacks to where the offense is now behind the chains and they're having to catch up. Big traits that he has is strong and disciplined edge setter, heavy run dependent. He can constantly stay attacking, no injury history that's significant, rarely out of position. He has your typical 3-down profile that you want for a top 10 pick at the defensive end position, meaning that he can play both the run and the pass. And he's ideal for Spagnuolo's team, meaning Spagnuolo is going to move those defensive linemen up front. So having a guy who is flexible and be able to play some inside and outside, it's just cherry on the top. Alternative selection. Let's say Rueben Bain's taken. Defensively, they should totally go for Caleb Downs then, safety from Ohio State. If Bain's off the board, he's the guy because at the end of the day, you're just going to select the best player. And even if he is a safety, you now have someone who can play the backside of your defense and call out some stuff. He has elite instincts. He has a range that can go over everywhere, and he's a high-level communicator. At Ohio State, he was the leader of the defense. And in today's NFL, having a good safety is critical, especially when a defense that's going to rely on some movement and disguising some things. Everybody has to talk. When you're in the wartime, communication is key. And if you have a general in the back, in the defensive back position who can call out what needs to be called out, it's amazing. Offensively, let's say both players are out. This guy, Kenyon Sadiq, the tight end from Oregon should totally be just the break glass scenario. I thought about having the Chiefs select the offensive tackle, but they've already heavily invested in that. And this guy would just be hey, we need a new toy to play with. I almost view him as selecting the best, the third best receiver in the draft. I love Sadiq in terms of his ability to play make for a position. You get a guy who ran a 4.3. He has alignment flexibility. He can play at the slot. He can play out wide. He can play at the end man or even an H-back position. And he's going to put some pressure up the seam through with vertical routes. He's not a need pick by any means, but we're going to add more weapons. This pick I immediately thought of as, what do the other teams in the AFC West not want the Kansas City Chiefs to do? They don't want to get better on offense. They don't want a player that they're going to have to account for. Sadiq will clearly be a guy, as he can easily get 700 yards receiving by just being the third option, because Mahomes is going to find him and allow him to just eat and not be the primary weapon on the first or second reads. For the next pick, first round, 29th pick, this was the pick from the Rams. I had the Chiefs selecting David Boston, receiver from Washington. This is a pure fit pick. Looking at all the boards and speculation, there's some issues with him, but with his frame, he becomes a true X receiver, and you can have Rashee Rice play the slot. He brings size, physicality, and he was at top 3. He was number 3 in college football with contested catch ability. He's not separating on every snap, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. He's just going to be a guy that you're going to be able to throw it up and just have him win those 50-50 balls. He gives Mahomes another red zone threat, a third down option, and just a reliable presence in those tight windows. For another offensive pick, I had them select Kadyn Proctor, offensive tackle from Alabama. So let's say a couple things happened, or they ended up picking up Sadiq. So my thought is, okay, now you just kind of bolster it with Kadyn Proctor. I've had him as my number 2 offensive tackle. So if you can get the number 2 offensive tackle at the bottom of the first round, now you're looking at, okay, he can be a swing tackle. Maybe he beats out more and you cut more at the end of the season. You give Josh Simmons a very clear backup. You're just going to invest in those trenches, because the Chiefs have to understand, with the 2 Super Bowl losses, that when Mahomes was able to throw the football and not have a defensive line hound him down, you win. And this is clearly hey, we are going to do everything to protect Mahomes, especially coming off an ACL tear. The alternative pick for defense, I said TJ Parker, the edge rusher from Clemson. So again, let's say Bain was already gone. You pick up down. So now you just say, hey, we need to get an edge rusher. Parker's the guy to go to. I love his frame. He is strong against the run. He is a consistent pass rusher, especially with his time at Clemson. I liked that he played with a very dominant nose in Peter Woods, because now he understands exactly how that works with a very good nose. So if you have an inside interior guy like Chris Jones working with an experienced edge rusher like Parker, who is used to that, the learning curve is going to be shortened immensely. He's disciplined and reliable. Everyone has said that about him. I wouldn't be surprised if he's taken quite sooner than that, but at that 29th spot, it just makes sense for the Chiefs to pick him up. Second round, 40th pick. I said the Chiefs need to go chase Bisontis, offensive guard from Texas A&M. Now, at first you're wondering, why in the world did you go here, offensive guard, when you've already said that they've invested quite a bit? I have him as a 20th best player. He's the 20th best player in the draft to me. And if you can get the 20th player in the second round, he's clearly a value pick. And I'm not even saying that if he does fall, that the Chiefs do, but for me, I think it just makes sense for 2 major reasons. You can move Trey Smith out after a year, because his contract is $15+ million, and you allow your young guys to kind of build together, and you have full control. Um, um, Chase is really strong. He has real good technical consistency, and it provides some interior stability. I love his pass protection. He's really, really good at it. His run game is really impressive. And I think it just for me, it just makes sense. But if you're like, hey, I don't want the guard, here's my alternative pick, Chris Johnson, San Diego State corner. He's a prospect that has been gone as high as the Cowboys pick in the middle of the first, and then I've seen him go as low as the Rams in the second round. So physical corner, really good zone, has really good development upside, young. And I think it's a traits plus system bet. And you're going, hey, we've done an excellent job with our corners in the past. We don't need to spend a premium position on corner. And he's a guy who would fall right under what Veach does. Now, alternative offense. Germie Bernard, wide receiver from Alabama, this will happen if he starts dropping on the board and the Chiefs are going, hey, we haven't really addressed the offensive piece in terms of adding another explosive weapon. Let's say the first couple picks they went defense. Bernard will be perfect for the Chiefs to pick up that second round. He separates well. He has really good route running and some timing leverage, so he can play inside or outside and keep that offense, keep the defense guessing with who's the X, who's the Y, who's your slot, so on and so forth. Third round, 74th pick. I said D'Angelo Pons corner from Indiana. Discipline and value. I like Pons a lot. And again, he could be a guy who gets taken in the second, but in the third round, trigger, pull that trigger because he's instinctive. He's assignment sound. I love that he came from Indiana because that just means that Cignetti has taught him really well. He wins with that awareness, anticipation, and positioning. And I was just shocked to see him constantly picked up in the third round, given or take. So if the Chiefs are able to fall, if he falls to the Chiefs in the third round, guys, pull the trigger. Alternative pick, Julian Neal. This one I feel like is a little bit of reach because I've seen him go typically in the start of the fourth or bottom of the third, but he's a long corner who is really, really physical, and he fits the scheme of running the zone. Versus man, he's going to get tested and had some issues with that, but the Chiefs are typically a zone heavy team, and so because of that, I feel as though he's able to trust his scheme, and then you can trust your coaching staff to coach him up significantly. Alternative pick on offense, Mike Washington, a junior running back from Arkansas. Kind of localish guy. Obviously, Arkansas and Kansas City are a couple hours away, so his name should be familiar. Really good vision, contact balance, really hard to tackle, in rotational value, meaning that you're not just relying on Walker to carry the load. You need another younger player to provide some depth and some explosion. Fourth round, 109th pick. I said Zane Durant, defensive tackle from Penn State. Zane Durant is, watching the film, is one of my favorite. He's my favorite interior guy, more than Peter Woods, just because I love a small interior defensive lineman. I love a guy who is freaky athletic at that position because now you're just putting pressure on an offensive line. You can do all sorts of stunts with an athletic defensive tackle. Quick first step. Really good with his interior pressure and has shown a high motor consistently. He's not Aaron Donald. That's not what I'm saying. But think of a smaller, compact player who's explosive off the rip. I wouldn't be surprised if you're guaranteed, yep, it's third down, and you have him right in the middle next to Chris Jones, and they do a DT, a DT stunt, DE stunt, or a not stunt or whatever, and he's going in, looping around, getting a big old sack, and all is just because he's just trusting his motor and trusting his team. Let's say Zane Durant's gone. I said the offensive alternate should be uh, Jude Bowry, offensive tackle from Boston College. Like his size, like his strength. Um, he is a somewhat developmental pick with some long-term upside just with his body. Alternative pick on defense. I just said the other defensive tackle, Chris McClellan from Missouri, local. He's big, he's strong, he absorbs blocks really well and helps keep the linebackers clean. Almost a different style than Durant, but just you're going to have to bolster that defensive line. Just like offense and defensive line, linemen, you're going to have to throw a pick or two every single draft. Hope you get lucky with the guy and he excels for you in a year or two. Fifth round. So for the multiple picks for the fifth round, I said number one, Harold Perkins Jr., linebacker from LSU. And this is a pick where you get a guy at the interior backer position to where you may just say, hey, let's throw him out in the outside as a situational pass rusher. But interiorly, we get a guy who can who has elite speed, some versatility in inside and out, and he's a movable chess piece. And I can see this totally being a Spags pick of going, hey, I'm going to be blitzing, and he's actually going to be the guy to make a lot of blitzes work because you think he's one spot and he immediately changes exactly what I'm trying to do. So almost a perfect blitz weapon for the Kansas City Chiefs. Coverage isn't his strong suit by any means, but he's in this level, especially playing the SEC, he can cover a tight end in the seam. Even if you go smaller and have him interiorly, his speed and athleticism just makes sense to definitely pick it up. Some alternative picks, Justin Joly, tight end. Let's say the Chiefs are kind of lacking. Justin Joly, I view him as almost a poor man's Kenyon Sadiq, not as fast, not as explosive, but he is a versatile piece that you can definitely move. Chiefs already have multiple tight ends on their roster, so I don't think they'll go here. But if they did, if they felt as though, hey, this guy is really, really impressive on tape, and I think he fit perfectly into what they're trying to do. Another linebacker I said for defense instead of Harold Perkins Jr. was Jake Golday, selecting him in the fifth round. He's another player where I've looked and gone, okay, he can go as high as third and as low as six, depending on who's feeling what. 6'4", has some defensive end background, so he can rush the passer. Solid depth option at the end of the day, and almost not as explosive as Harold Perkins Jr., but the idea of, hey, he's going to play inside primarily, but if he goes and becomes an edge rusher for situationally, it would make complete sense. Jakobe Thomas will be the other selection, the safety from Miami. High IQ, really good special teams player and rotational upside, bolstering that secondary, especially with the team that does not view secondary players with immense focus. Having him who can just almost quarterback a back end just makes sense. Adam Randall is another solid running back that I would really think that they could definitely pick instead. You need to invest the running back position. Kenneth Walker can't be the only guy carrying the load. You need a guy who can explode on a big run. The other option would be another corner, Latrell McCutchin. Depth, about that about 5'11", really can run really well, has some issues with man, but can play zone relatively good comparatively. So it just makes sense to, hey, let's develop a strong zone corner, and then we'll develop to see if he can turn into man. Kaden Wetjen, the returner from Iowa, can play the slot. He has a really good elite return ability, led the nation in yards of return. Just trying to gadget guy. Rahimio did fine, but if you can get a guy like him in the bottom of the fifth and you're going through something to where, hey, it just makes sense for us to invest in one of the best kick returners in the nation, not Devin Hester, but hey, this is your primarily job. We don't even have to focus on it, both punt return and kick return. And some gadget usage. He could be a player like that. Kendrick Law, receiver from Kentucky, higher upside ceiling, could be an alternate offensive pick. Michael Taaffe, the safety from Texas, system DB safety player who can definitely fit in. And if I say this name, and I'm not saying it just because he's also a white safety, but Dan Sorensen, to where he's going to be in the right position constantly. Last pick, the 6th round pick 210. I think they need to draft CJ Donaldson, the Ohio State running back. Definite defined role in terms of he's a big back who can be a goal line first, third down and third and short, fourth and short. You're not messing with the core QB sneak. You're not messing with some sort of weird hoopy jerpy zippity zappity. You're just saying, hey, we're gonna run it down your freaking throat, and let's see if you can stop it. Alternative picks, let's say he's gone or they don't have him as high. Drew Shelton, he's a true developmental tackle. And then Logan Fando, the edge rusher from Utah, rotational pass rusher, some special teams value, big, lanky. He has multiple family members who have played professional football, including his brother, who is Spencer Fando, one of the top prospects in the draft. And then I threw out this name for the undrafted, Haynes King from Georgia Tech. I like him a lot. He may be drafted by somebody in the 7th round, but 6'3", really athletic, has some can be a depth option. Smart investment in terms behind Mahomes, because if Andy Reid can get a guy who is freaky athletic, all of a sudden everybody's going to be wanting to pick him up, and he can be a future trade asset or emergency quarterback. Maybe he wows everybody in camp and makes the roster and has a package or two. But looking at this draft, it really wasn't a whole lot about headlines. Obviously, Bain, if he's there, it's the clear because he's a top 10 pick. But it's just simply about discipline. You're adding players who fit your system, you're reinforcing the depth, you're building layers, and you're trying to just avoid some long-term mistakes. And no draft is without mistakes, but you can alleviate them. You don't need to reach for certain players just because they fit. But the Chiefs are definitely a team to where if you're driving a car and your tires go out, you need to buy new tires. And I view that as their edge rushing position. The Chiefs are going to have to pick up an edge rusher. And this all completely doesn't matter if the Chiefs decide to move up to the 3rd spot, like I've been seeing quite a bit, and take a David Bailey or even an Arvell Reese, whoever's there. So all this doesn't matter. But if they're going to get an edge rusher, especially in that 1st round, and I think it's more than likely going to be Bain, but if it's not, definitely TJ Parker definitely fits the build. At the end of the day, I hope that you guys enjoy this little exercise. Obviously, I'm more of a Panthers guy, but a lot of my friends are Chiefs fans, and I've gotten to know the team quite a bit. I'm looking forward to the season for them just because it's fun. It's fun. If your team's not doing well, it's fun to have your friends' teams doing well, especially when they're in 2 opposite conferences, 2 opposite divisions. But I hope that you all enjoyed this. Make sure to like and subscribe. Go ahead and put your comments below. What do you think? Who do you think the Chiefs should definitely take? Otherwise, have a good day.